Hey there, I'm John with sharpenedartist.com. In this video, I'm drawing this old Ford on gray toned Strathmore paper. Here's the reference photo and some of the edits that I did before I started the drawing. Now this is also a collaboration with Kelli Paints. If you're not familiar with her work, she's an amazing artist, and I'll go ahead and put a link to her channel in the video description down below. At the end of this video, I'll also have a link to her channel as well. So be sure and stay tuned for that. I'm using a dark indigo pencil for the layout. That's a Polychromos Faber-Castell pencil. And I went ahead and timed myself on this one, and it took approximately 100 minutes. I set my timer for 20-minute intervals at a time. Just keeps me motivated, and I just make little tick marks every time it goes from 20 minutes to 0. It's kind of fun. If you haven't tried that before, it's a fun way to just force yourself to draw quickly and to be confident about the marks that you make and to make quick choices and just move along, especially if it's a quick sketch. Nothing you're going to sell to anybody or anything like that. I look at this more like a thumbnail kind of thing where I'm just working out some of the composition issues and some of the values and colors. If you've never tried this, I would encourage you to do that. It makes for a good study, and it helps you to know whether or not you want to do this on a larger surface and in a more complete drawing. I'm using Winsor & Newton pigment markers on this piece, and then I'm going to go over it with colored pencil on top. If you've not used pigment markers before by Winsor & Newton, I would encourage you to pick up a small set and test them, try them out, see what you think about them. They're really nice to work with. The nice thing about them also is that they're using pigment-based ink instead of dye-based ink, so they last. They'll be archival depending on what support you use, and subject, of course, to everything else that would make a complete piece archival or not. So I'm testing colored pencils with several that I think I might end up using, and I think I used all of them on this piece. Remember, if you're drawing a car, if you're drawing chrome in particular, then closer to the ground, you're always going to be safe with using some type of green tone. If it's in grass, in some grayish tones, or some things that would reflect metal often are, like asphalt, so some purples, some grays, some oranges. And then on the top of the chrome, you can always get away with using blues and things that would reflect the sky. So you want to think in that direction. Now, I always want to make chrome just a little bit lighter in certain areas. I want to push the values and the colors especially on chrome because it's highly reflective, and it's not going to translate all that well in a drawing if you don't push it just a little bit and exaggerate it just a little bit. I typically keep a very sharp pencil when I'm working on paper with colored pencil, but in this case I'm working on smooth. This is very smooth paper. This is the Strathmore toned gray paper, and I think it's the 184-pound paper, so it's very thick, but it's also very, very smooth. But it will hold up really well. It will take multiple layers quite easily, but you do run into that spot where there's a point of no return, where once you reach all of the tooth, when you filled in all the tooth, then you reach that critical mass point of having all those wax layers built up with the colored pencil, then you're just not going to be getting a whole lot more on there, and you're going to be pushing really hard and burnishing at that point, especially with luminance pencils, and that's primarily what I'm using on this. A little bit of Polychromos here and there, but mostly luminance pencils. Now, that's another thing that I'm doing on this piece is I'm pretending like there's a little more rust on here than there really is, and you can get away with doing that, especially on older vehicles like this. It just adds sort of a nice touch. Going to put some of the grass in the background. I've created a suggestion for where some of the sky might be back in the background. Remember, it's a quick sketch, a quick study, and if you want to draw this one, feel free to go ahead and draw this particular car. I'd love to see what you do with it. And if you are interested in it, just go ahead and contact me, and I'll be sure and get you the reference photo. Love to see what you come up with. Multiple layers of the marker, and just kind of scribbling a little bit of the marker in the background there just to get that in there quickly. This actually is not the best paper to use for these markers, or for any markers really. Actually, for these pigment markers, I would really suggest using a marker paper, and that way the marker is actually resting on top because of the sizing on the paper. It produces a finish where you can move it around like paint, which makes a very nice surface. I just wanted to get this done quickly, and those were within reach. Grabbed them and just went to town with it, and it's a lot of fun. So I know that I can put this down quickly, and I can put the colored pencil on top, and even come back in here with some of the marker after the colored pencil, because I'm not going to be selling this as an archival piece. It's just a lot of fun and a quick study, like I said. One of the real fun things to do with colored pencil on, well, with any medium really, on toned paper or any kind of toned surface, is to go back in here when you're nearly all the way done and add white, add all the highlights everywhere that the sun or light source may be hitting the object that you're drawing. And it's just so much fun because it just starts popping, and it starts just coming alive and popping off of the page. It just kicks it up just a notch. And I like to save it towards the end. Now, one of the things you can do when you're using colored pencil or other mediums that may not be as light fast is you can go back over it. Save your Luminance pencils by Caran d'Ache as your final layer, because they are highly light fast. And it helps them also because they're encased in all of these several different waxes that they use to create these fine pencils. And if you go over your entire piece with Luminance pencils as a final coat, you're protecting it. So it's a really nice way to finish a piece off and save some of your less light fast pencils for the undercoat, and then use those Luminance as your final pencils. All right, I want to get some suggestion of details in the background there for the trees. Pretend like there's some trees back there, some tree trunks, that sort of thing. Just suggesting certain things. Not a full rendered drawing at all, obviously, but it's a fun, quick study. So a few refinements here, and then we're going to call it done. And I'm just going to go over it and hit it one last time with this white pencil here and there, just hitting those emblems and the hood ornament. And here is the final piece. I hope you enjoyed this. And again, check out Kelli's channel. I have a link to it over here. And I'll see you next time, so stay sharp.